Hey, I'm Butterfly.
Hey, I'm Firefly.
Have you ever wondered if we aren't being told the truth about everything?
What have we been lied to about? Join us as we have conversations and ask questions about everything. We invite you to keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable.
Let's break the chains that enslave our minds. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole.
What is up, butterfly?
Um, hey, Firefly, what is going on?
Yeah, yeah. Well, today we are going to talk about one of the most controversial people in history.
Hmm,
What is his
do
name?
tell.
His name is Adolf,
Adolf.
which is kind of a weird first name.
I,
Adolf.
I'm thinking about now. You made me start thinking about that movie, The Sound of Music. Edelweiss, Edelweiss.
Yes,
Remember
yes,
that?
yes, yes.
But he wasn't from Austria, was he? He was
No,
from,
he was from Germany,
yeah.
but so Adolf Hitler, what we're talking about today is, okay, so remember that documentary Europa? Did you watch it?
I don't know if I ever saw that, but you've talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
Why don't you give us a little synopsis?
so Europa, you can only find it like on BitChute. They don't let it on.
It's super obscure. It's like
Yeah,
been wiped off the internet.
pretty much. Like you're not gonna find it on YouTube for sure.
Hmm.
Probably not X. But if you go on BitChute, you can find it. And you just type in Europa. And what it talks about is how the media, what they suggest in that is that the media has vilified Adolf Hitler
Right.
and that he was actually really good guy.
I've heard this theory several times.
And he basically, in the wake of World War One, Germany was devastated because World War One was not a good war for them to get into, and the League of Nations punished Germany financially really bad. So for like a decade coming out of World War One, the German people were destitute, right?
Hmm.
So Hitler took over in like the early 30s. And by the time they had the Olympics in 1936, when Jesse Owens was there, the country was bustling. And it was, according to this documentary, it was the preeminent economy in the post World War One world.
Wow.
So it was bustling. The economy was firing on all cylinders. Their stock market was great. Everything was going good. And then, according to Europa, international Jewry. So the people from that country from 1948,
Hmm.
they all are a block globally, and they all have an agenda globally, and they
And
declared war on Adolf Hitler.
and their agenda is to take over the world.
Their agenda is to take over the
And
world.
that is documented, right? That's not a conspiracy theory.
That's in their Kabbalah.
Yeah.
That's what it says, and that's what they believe. And their behavior reinforces that belief.
Right.
So
Oh yeah.
there might be some truth to that, but this is what I was thinking. I think Hitler was a psychopath too.
Hmm.
And I think that sometimes I think psychopaths fight each other
They
sometimes,
turn on the other psychopaths.
the other psychopaths.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the nature of the psychopathy
Yeah.
is they can't help themselves and they just start biting the dude next to them.
Right. They attack each other like wild
They're
dogs.
like wild dogs.
Yeah.
So I don't think Hitler was a good guy. I think he was just anti those people from 1948, but he was a psychopath like himself because the old saying is the only thing that Hitler did wrong was he didn't finish the job.
Oh God, that's horrible.
So I don't think he was a good guy.
Mm.
I don't think he was a good guy. I think he was kind of like Stalin. He rose up in the I was thinking about this. I was talking with my mom about it. The 20th century, the 1900s was a horrible time.
Yeah.
There was so much evil that took place.
Yeah.
And I think especially around the turn of the century, the early 1900s was just there was so much suffering everywhere. Because if you look at Stalin's backstory, like his childhood was horrible. Hitler's childhood was horrible.
So they grew up to become psychopaths.
Yes.
You know what I heard recently is that that you're not born a psychopath, that you are basically taught how to be a psychopath.
I think so.
I don't know if that's true, but I've
I think
heard so.
so. I think so. Because I think what you have to do is intentionally turn your conscience off.
Hmm.
That's what a psychopath is. A psychopath, by definition, has no compassion,
Right. No empathy for
no
others.
empathy.
Yeah.
So they can that not only do they not get like bothered by your suffering, they kind of like it.
Right.
That's what a psychopath is.
Totally. So you think Hitler was a psychopath, but and he ruled over everything for a while, but then some of the other psychopaths took him down.
I think so. And I think that what we've been told about him is lies.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of lies. Well, there's a lot of this story that doesn't really add up. And it's like a lot of their other stories that they tell us, they give us like huge numbers or huge distances or, just these like
10,000 light years.
10,000 light years, animals from 200 million years ago.
Gravity.
Gravity.
That's right.
They give us these big concepts that most people can't wrap their head around an argument against it. So they just
Six
accept it.
million.
6 million people. Yeah.
You,
So,
and you know what they've done with the Holocaust narrative is they've actually charged it, and they've made it politically charged so that any type of refutation of that Holocaust narrative
oh, yeah.
is immediately considered anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you are a bad person for even questioning
Even
that.
having a question about it, you're bad, straight to jail.
Whereas if you go and like they had that one dude that did that documentary, remember I was telling you about, where he was a dude from that country from 1948.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you watch that?
I watched part of it
I
that
sent it
you
to you.
sent to me. Yeah.
So this was probably like 3 years ago, 4 years
Yeah.
ago, and this guy goes. I think he made it back in the 90s. I
Uh-huh.
think it was old schools, like from the 90s. So he went to Auschwitz and Nuremberg,
Hmm.
and he toured the facilities, and he looked at the physical evidence that remains, and he deduced that it's impossible that they exterminated 6 million Jews in these ovens.
Right.
There's no way.
Well, I even saw some evidence where they were showing it would be impossible for that to even work. Like that technology that they claimed that they used would have never worked in those buildings that they were saying that it took place.
Yeah, so there's at least enough of a shadow of a doubt to question it,
Yeah.
but you're a total anti-Semite if you do.
Right.
So I think it's conceivable that the Holocaust narrative is a control mechanism, kind of like nuclear bombs and oil scarcity.
Yeah.
It's a control mechanism. It's no,
Oh,
no, no. This happened.
well, and maybe those people from that country from 1948 made that story to control
I think
the
so.
narrative.
Because remember how we talked about how that number 6 million appears in periodicals prior to World War II several times
Yeah.
in a really weird way. It's kind of like, remember Operation Mockingbird, where they would say the same exact words?
Yeah.
I think 6 million might be one of those words.
It's like a trigger word.
It's a trigger word. It's a spell word. So it puts you into a spell.
Yeah, totally.
So that's kind of opening up a like a adjacent can of worms.
Right.
What I wanted to talk about on this episode specifically as it pertains to Hitler was, could it be that psychopaths turn on each other?
Oh, I think for sure. I think they have no problem running each other under the bus.
I think that might be what happens. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of like a law of the universe.
Yeah. Well,
Psychopaths turn on each other.
yeah. And when you're a psycho, you're going to stop at nothing to get ahead. They have very big egos and
They're megalomaniacs.
they're megalomaniacs.
Yes.
And so they want to rule the world. Each one of them does. So they don't want like to help some other guy rule the world. They want to
No,
rule the world.
that's
So
right.
they're going to, they have their plan for how to do that. And anybody that gets in their way, they're going to attack.
They're going to attack. So I'm thinking that might be what happened with Hitler. Hitler might have been a psychopath that rose to power, and the psychopaths from, because we've talked about the people from that country from 1948 are psychopaths.
Yeah.
They work for Satan, and they think everybody else is goyim that needs to be exterminated, and this world is going to be theirs.
Right.
So that's psychopathy.
That is psychopathy.
Satan's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Satan's a psychopath.
Yeah.
So they work for him. But Hitler might have been a psychopath that kind of was risen up to hate them.
Yeah.
And
Ah,
so it wasn't, there was no good guys in the equation.
yeah.
There was just this psychopath is pissing off that psychopath. And I think that might be a white bill
Yeah.
because we have psychopaths running the show right now. But remember Blofeld
Mm.
from Bond? And it's Donald Pleasance. Have you ever seen that one? It's called Dr. No.
Okay.
And he's petting his cat.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking with number two. Oh no, I think it's You Only Live Twice. And so Blofeld is he's really weird looking. He so Dr. Evil from Austin
Yeah,
Powers is he's modeled after Blofeld.
yeah.
So he's bald and he's got these weird, funky looking eyes. Like Donald Pleasance. Have you ever seen that guy?
No.
The actor himself is bizarre looking. He just looks like a psychopath.
Yeah.
He's really bizarre looking, but he plays the head of Spectre.
Oh, okay.
And Spectre is kind of like the Culture Club,
Mm.
and it's kind of revealing the method.
It is.
And what he's doing is he's petting his cat, and he's talking to number two, his number two man, and he's pointing out to the fish tank. And what does he say? He goes, "Notice the Japanese fighting fish." And it's kind of like the Cloward and Piven, divide and conquer. The Japanese fighting fish will sit back and watch as the two weaker fish will fight each other. One of them will die, but the other one, through the fight, will exhaust themselves to almost the point of death because of the fight. And then the third one comes in and kills him
Oh.
and takes over. And I think that might be the nature of what's going on now that might be white pill. Maybe we need to be the Japanese fighting fish that sits back and lets the psychopaths destroy themselves.
Well, that's what they'll do.
And that's going to be the emergence of, see, I think for us, the happy ending is Renaissance 2.0.
Yeah.
And we come in, I think we're about to come into an era where truth and justice reign.
Well, and haven't you heard that saying that says, never interrupt the enemy when it's destroying itself?
That's exactly what I
Yeah.
think this episode is. I
Yeah.
think that's the predicate of it. Don't interrupt your enemy while they're destroying themselves. Psychopaths are gonna invariably go and get in a war with other psychopaths.
Yeah. And when you're aligned with Satan, it's never going to work out good.
You get repaid.
So I think also Satan, whatever that is, wants these constant wars. And so maybe what they do is what the main like culture club does is they create these wars so that there's constant battling, and but within the wars, what you're kind of implying, which I think is true, is that these all of these psychopaths that are trying to control us, they don't necessarily get along and work together.
Yeah.
They might be fighting each other because I think they're all clawing their way to the top and they want to remain at the top. And so even like the controlled opposition that we talk about a lot, it's possible that, they aren't all, even if they're all spewing the same kind of messages to us,
Yeah.
they're not all like kind of on the same side. They all want to be on top. Because I think those people, a lot of them are psychopaths too.
Oh, totally.
You
Well,
know?
what made me think was like, let's take Trump and Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
They're both in the culture club. I think, some people might disagree, but I think Trump is in bed with the culture club.
For sure.
All of these wars that in Iran
Yeah.
and Venezuela, this stuff is culture clubby.
And he's totally just like sold out to that country from 1948. which seems
Operation
weird.
Warp Speed.
That's not America first,
That's not America
you
first.
know?
So we can deduce from his behavior that
Yeah.
Trump is in bed with the Culture Club.
Yes, and all of his fans are like they never want to see his faults, but what's that other saying? Judge a tree by its fruits.
Yes.
I mean, hello,
His
right?
fruits, they have to put blinders on
Mm-hmm.
big time. But Nancy Pelosi's in the Culture Club too.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Pelosi does woke. She is
Yeah,
the queen of woke.
she is.
So I think she genuinely hates Trump.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's script. I don't think they go hang out and do like massage later. I think they.
Go out for steaks and martinis.
I don't think so. I think that Trump really bristles with hatred for her and vice versa. And they're both psychopaths that are going to turn on each other.
Right.
And I think that might be the nature of this episode. They're the psychopaths that claw their way up to the top. They end up getting taken out by other psychopaths, and that's kind of like it's kind of like the seasons. It's just something that happens.
So it's kind of like the Blofeld story that you told. So like those two psychopaths will be like fighting each other and clawing their way to the top, but meanwhile there's a third psychopath waiting in the wings to take over.
That's it.
Yeah. Is that white pill?
Well, the white
Maybe
pill
maybe
for
you're
us,
waiting in the wings to take over
that's
the
what I'm thinking.
Renaissance.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. I'm thinking um, how that can work in our favor is the psychopaths could turn on each other and destroy themselves, leaving a power vacuum that can be filled by truth and justice.
I love it.
You like that?
That's so beautiful.
I think that might
Yeah.
be the white bill of this. So
Yeah.
I was using Hitler as kind of like the archetype because Europa, the documentary Europa almost suggests that Hitler was like a totally virtuous guy.
Hmm.
I have
Yeah.
a hard time believing that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a totally virtuous guy, why do you go invade Poland? Why do you do Blitzkrieg into France and Germany?
Right.
I mean, Germany, have you ever seen what the Blitzkrieg did?
Mm.
The Blitzkrieg was a bombing raid it was like warfare that had never been seen before.
Well, and then I always say we never really know what happened in history unless we were there and or know somebody was there. And even then, you can't be totally sure because everybody is going to interpret it in their own way. But when I see the videos and stuff of Hitler's soldiers and the way they were marching, I have to kind of think he was probably psychopath
They were
because
triple MDP for sure.
I mean,
They had protocols.
who's gonna make their soldiers march like that? Like
Yeah,
kicking up, the way they did. That was weird,
it was weird.
you know?
It was like a psychopath making his soldiers act like that.
Yeah.
Plus, England um, got devastated, and there is some evidence. Like, for instance, John Lennon and Roger Waters both lost their fathers in. I think they both lost their fathers in World War II. But for sure, John Lennon talks about how him and Yoko Ono had a connection because they both came out of war ravaged countries. She was in
Mhm.
Japan, and I think she was from Hiroshima. So she actually saw the devastation of Hiroshima, whatever that was from. We've
Right.
talked about how that might not have been a nuke,
Right.
but it was devastated. So devastation took place. I
Yeah.
think that that might be true.
Yeah.
So
Well, devastation often takes place to traumatize.
too traumatized.
Yeah.
So it was allowed to happen.
Hmm.
But there's certain things that you kind of go, Hitler doesn't sound like he was
Like
like
a
a
really
good
nice
person.
guy.
No,
Yeah.
he was definitely a psychopath. So that being said, if he was a psychopath, then it's conceivable that other psychopaths came up and destroyed him,
Hmm. Totally.
you know,
Yeah.
because Stalin was a psychopath.
Hmm.
And I think FDR might have been a psychopath,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because they're saying FDR was going over to Japan prior to Pearl Harbor, and they had Tavistock Institute people. They had a. Did you know they have a Tavistock Institute in Japan in the late 30s?
Oh, that's weird.
Why would they have a Tavistock
Yeah.
Institute in Japan
Yeah.
in the 1930s?
Right.
Because what do we talk about Tavistock Institute? That was created to brainwash people into getting involved in World War One, and then it grew from there. So they have brainwashing programs going on in Japan prior to World War Two. That means that they were probably manipulating the government to go and carry out the attack on Pearl Harbor as a false flag to get us involved
Exactly.
in the war.
So you're saying they probably brainwashed them into doing this whole thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that means FDR probably was a psychopath.
Yeah, I think a lot of our presidents are. What about LBJ?
LBJ was clearly a psychopath.
Yeah,
And I think maybe JFK might have been a good guy.
yeah,
And that's why they had to kill him.
right.
Like those presidents in Africa that were going against the cooties.
Yeah.
So that being said, what,
I wonder
Tiffany?
if there were, you know how all of the countries agree that we should not be allowed to go to Antarctica?
Yes.
I wonder if there were any presidents that did not agree with that who got unalived.
See, that would be interesting to look into.
Hmm.
Totally. Like some like Bolivian president who said, no, we want to go there and
I
explore.
I bet you if we look into that, we'll find out that at that time when the Antarctic Treaty was signed, there were some world leaders in some various countries that just like died suddenly.
I totally could see that because that was around 1948. 1948 was when they created that country from 1948.
Right.
They created the World Health Organization around then. They created the UN around then. I guess maybe the World Health Organization might have come out later, but
That,
the UN was definitely created around the 1940s. The CIA was
yeah.
created in 1947. I think the FBI was created right around that time.
Hmm.
And these are these secret organizations that keep everything opaque.
Yeah.
There was a lot of evil going on around that time.
Yeah, like so Antarctica is opaque.
It's opaque.
The whole like story around that and even the whole country is opaque. We can't.
Mao Zedong, he in 1948 took over,
Hmm.
and he was flanked by two people from that country from 1948.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a weird time. The in the immediate aftermath of World War II, it was a weird time. There was a lot of really evil stuff going on.
Right.
And I'm thinking psychopaths took out Hitler. It was other psychopaths that took out that psychopath.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think you're right. I think I think that um, just the idea of a psychopath means that they're gonna stop at nothing to get ahead,
That's right.
you know, and a psychopath wants to be in control. They want to be a megalomaniac.
By nature.
Yeah, by nature.
And I think you're right. I think that you're not born a psychopath. I think it's something that
Learned.
it's a learned behavior. It's like you ever heard that term nature versus nurture?
Right.
It's nurtured in
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
psychopathy. I think it's probably comes from suffering, like trauma,
Yeah.
like MK Ultra kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like if you traumatize somebody, they can turn into a psychopath.
Totally.
Like I was thinking, I know this is kind of mean, but
Oh no.
I was thinking, what if Kathy O'Brien is a psychopath?
I know. Well, when we talked about her, I said, how does somebody go through all of that stuff and not become a psychopath?
Yeah.
Because that's gnarly.
I think that she actually had that happen to her, but I think she might be controlled opposition because when she came out recently, she was carrying water for Trump,
Yeah,
which is weird.
that is weird.
That's like, well, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but why are you? Trump is not a good guy,
Yeah.
so clearly, and it would seem like after you were in the MK Ultra program, you would
You
have
would
an
be able to
aversion.
yeah, you would be able to recognize this kind of narcissistic, manipulative, controlling
But a
behavior, you
lot
know?
of them, like, that's what they say happened with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Hmm.
She was probably raped and tortured when she was a child, and then she grew up to be a groomer,
Right. So
and
she's a psychopath.
she's a psychopath.
Yeah,
So I think maybe people become psychopaths through trauma.
I think so.
Remember George Soros's backstory?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What was he doing
He's a
during World War II?
psychopath. He was
He was
going,
14 years old.
yeah, and somebody took him because he was,
He was a person from that country from 1948.
yeah, and somebody took him under their wing
Yeah.
to protect him, and he went around with that person and stole like the treasures of people.
As the people, well, according to his narrative,
Yeah,
as the people from that country from 1948 were being round up, which I think probably conceivably they were. I don't think they were put in ovens and exterminated, but I think they might have been rounded up.
yeah.
Um, I think while they were being rounded up, George Soros's job as a 14-year-old was to go pillage their jewels.
Yeah, steal all their treasures.
And the guy from 60 Minutes was like, well, how did you do that? How did you go and pillage your own people?
Yeah, and he said, do you feel bad about that or have any
Yeah.
remorse? And
So no, it was very how do you say happy making time.
yeah,
It make me very
and
happy.
he basically kind of said like, you know, if I didn't do it, somebody would have.
Somebody else was going to do it.
So I
And
wouldn't feel
George
bad about it.
Soros, if you look at the arc
Which
of
is
his life,
such a sick way to think.
and he's such a psychopath.
Yeah.
So what he does is these Maidan revolutions. So he did that in Ukraine. Like
Mm,
so he'll go in and he'll take over the media, he'll propagandize the people, and they'll actually execute a coup, kind of like Bernays did down in Central America,
mm,
and they'll remove the democratically elected president and put in their puppet.
right.
And I think that's a psychopath that comes up with those kind of notions. It's conceivable that George Soros got traumatized in the early part of World War II, and in that trauma, he became a psychopath. I don't think he was born a psychopath. I don't think people are born psychopaths.
That could very well be true.
So, anyways, today's been kind of a investigation into psychopathy, which
Right.
is a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is, as it pertains to Hitler, my working thesis about Hitler now is that we've definitely been lied to about the Holocaust. I think we've been lied to.
Yeah.
I think that 6 million number is some kind of a loaded number.
It's like a code word.
It's a code word.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those words that puts people in a spell.
Yeah.
So that's fake. But Hitler, I disagree with Europa. I don't think Hitler was a great guy. I think he was a megalomaniac psychopath. But other megalomaniac psychopaths took him out and lied about him and vilified him. I think that's my take on Hitler.
That's a really good theory.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking about Hitler so much, but I just think I think Hitler. It's interesting because maybe they. This is what I was thinking. Maybe that because the country from 1948 rules the world now.
Yeah.
They rule them. They rule our schools, and they rule our media.
And
So
Hollywood,
Hollywood, the internet.
music. Yeah.
So they're
Banks.
banks. They control everything that you get told by any type of mass distribution.
Right.
If anything's mass distributed, it's tightly controlled
Yes.
by that people from 1948. I think that they have created a straw man out of Adolf Hitler,
Oh,
a straw man that can be held up as the epitome of what not to do. You don't come against us.
right.
We will destroy you. And now, because of the 6 million narrative, the 6 million Holocaust narrative, if you come against them, they can put you in the camp with that straw man. And they can say, you're just like him.
Right.
I think maybe that's what he
They
is.
needed like the ultimate villain,
They had a villain.
and
And they can
everybody, like when you're a little kid, you're taught like these horrible things, like Hitler was horrible and did so many awful things.
totally.
You grow up learning that, so nobody wants to be like Hitler, so
And they've even gotten very like elaborate. If you go dig around the internet, they have all of this Kool-Aid about what a monster Hitler was. A lot of that could be Kool-Aid.
Right.
Like Mengele and the experiments that he was doing on people could be real. Mengele could just be a complete psychopath and a sick doctor that was doing experiments on people, or that could be all Kool-Aid in order to build up this straw man
Mm-hmm.
and to say, don't ever come against those people from 1948. Don't ever. Otherwise, you're going to be put in. Because have you ever noticed they label people Hitler?
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
He's basically Hitler.
Yeah. You can't be like that.
So they needed to create Hitler first. They needed to create this straw man that they can now name call people with and label
I
them.
just had like a huge epiphany. Oh my God. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. What if those people from that country from 1948 created the whole Hitler thing to create their own like villain so that they could use this whole story
Yes.
to be working in their favor.
Because they have to be the victims.
They have
That's their
they
power.
always have to be the victims. So
So
maybe they created the villain so that they could be the ultimate
I think
victim.
so because um, General Patton clearly said we defeated the wrong enemy. Because if you remember, Stalin was part of that Bolshevik. They were that country from 1948. Stalin was from the country from 1948.
Mm-hmm.
So Patton said we should have taken out Stalin,
Right.
not Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
That's telling. I think that we have, and then they've controlled our education and they've controlled our media. They've controlled all the movies, like Schindler's List.
Yeah.
That's probably total Kool-Aid.
Wasn't that directed by Spielberg?
Was it? He's Culture Club.
Well, he's from that country from 1948.
Remember that one post on X that I saw? And it's just like going across, and
Yeah.
it's all the people. There's Daniel Day Lewis. He's
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
They're all from that country from 1948.
Yeah.
Anybody who's anybody,
Mm-hmm.
like Stanley Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was. He definitely. So that therefore, Schindler's List could be total Kool-Aid.
Right.
Total
And
Kool-Aid.
remember how like wound up that got everybody? That movie just like created a frenzy of just sympathy and people were so riled up about that movie. Do
And
you remember
Satan
when
was
that
like,
came out?
good,
It
good,
was like,
good.
have you seen Schindler's List?
Yes.
Oh, it's just so devastating.
God, the poor Jews.
I never watched it.
I didn't
I
either.
didn't ever have any desire to see it. It just looked depressing
You
and
know what it is? Maybe that's why we're red pilled. Maybe our spirit abhorred it because it seemed like a lie. Maybe that's what
maybe,
it was.
maybe,
Well, anyway, so that's kind of the gist of this episode. In this podcast, we ask people to just keep an open mind,
and ask questions.
ask
That's all
questions.
we're doing. We're asking questions and having conversations with each other, and
And what's that word that's hard to say? Unfathomable.
unfathomable.
Some of these things might be unfathomable. Maybe Hitler has been mischaracterized in the histories.
Well, I always wonder, how much of what we learned is true
What
because,
we learned 10,000 light years.
yeah, in animals from 200 million years ago, gravity, you know, so
And wait a second, fossil fuels.
yeah, I just have to question everything. So I think there's definitely some holes in the Hitler story. And that epiphany I just had, I started thinking maybe he wasn't even real. But then I thought, well, we have video of him. So he was a real character, but maybe he was just that. Maybe he was a character,
Yeah.
and maybe he was playing a part like so many of our politicians are doing now. Maybe this wasn't really even true. And I had an idea for another future episode. I've heard stories that Helen Keller wasn't even really true.
She's the one that was blind
And
and
deaf.
deaf and dumb.
Yeah. And maybe that whole thing was made up.
Did you hear
So we're going to do an episode on that.
have you ever heard the joke that goes, how did Helen Keller burn her ear?
How?
She answered the iron.
Oh no.
They have a whole group of jokes about Helen Keller.
Yeah.
Very tasteless.
Well, the point is that, a lot of these stories that we've been told about history, um, I think,
Like Roe versus Wade.
yeah, I
So like
they're
you
not even true. I think
so
they're basically like fairy tales.
Roe versus Wade is the predicate for like legalized abortion,
Yeah,
right? And you look into it and they go, "Oh, well, she got raped by a black dude and then got pregnant and it was horrible and she was going to die if she gave birth, so they had to abort the pregnancy and that was why it was made legal." And then you look into it and she admitted years later that she lied, she was paid. It was all
she was a crisis actor.
She was a crisis actor. She was like, what's that guy who's always at the shootings?
Oh yeah, Hog.
David Hogg.
Yeah,
She was like the early David Hogg.
yeah,
She was like paid to just kind of come out and say she got raped so that
to
they could
sell the
use her
story.
as a straw man to sell abortion
Uh-huh.
that we do 500,000 a year now.
Mm,
So that could totally be.
hmm.
They create like Helen Keller. Maybe she was for some reason useful at that time.
We'll delve into that in a future episode.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, anything else about Hitler?
You know, this could be there's probably going to be another episode about Hitler
Yeah, yeah,
because it's kind of a big topic,
he is.
but I think this was a good intro
It
and
was an
I
intro.
and I liked your hypothesis.
Keep an open mind.
Keep an open mind.
See,
And
Kyle.
that's the only way to enslave your mind.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on this one?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Great. Sauerkraut. Okay.
Bye.